So bago tayo pumunta sa calculations and other parts ng trading operation, ay i-discuss muna natin yung pinaka-importanteng parte, which is yung safety. So pinakauna, tulad ng sinabi ni Sir Materum sa atin dati, while operating the lathe machine, avoid wearing gloves, loose clothing, jewelry, or other dangling objects near lathe. So dito, kailangan iwasan nating magsuot ng mga maluluwag na damit at magsuot ng mga hikaw or iba pang jewelry dahil maaari itong kainin or higupin ng lathe machine na mag-cause ng accident. Then sa pangalawa naman is pull longer hair back or use the appropriate hair covering. So sa mga may mahabang buhok dyan, kailangan bago tayo mag-operate ng lathe machine ay itali mo natin to dahil maaari din tong higupin ng lathe machine at mag-cause ng accident. Sa pangatlo naman is always wear the proper eye protection. So kailangan isuot natin palagi yung goggles dahil habang nag-ooperate tayo ng lathe machine, may tendency na may tumalsik na mga parts sa mukha natin or sa iba pang part ng katawan natin. So as a protection din, so tulad nga ng sinabi na eye protection, para iwas aksidente na maaaring mag-cause ng pagkabulag kung wala tayong suot na eye protection. So sa pang-apat naman, remove chock, keys, and wrenches before operating. So di ba nga gumagamit tayo ng chock key kapag niluluwagan or hinihigpitan natin yung mga jaw ng chock natin. So kailangan pala bago tayo mag-operate ay chine-check natin kung na-remove ba natin yung chock key at saka yung wrenches na ginagamit natin sa pagluluwag ng ibang parts ng lathe machine. Dahil kapag napabayaan natin to or naiwan ay maaaring mag-cause din ng accident na maaaring makasira sa lathe machine or makaharm sa atin. So sa panglima naman is always check if the set speed is correct. So kailangan bago tayo mag-operate, lalo na sa trading, is kailangan i-make sure muna natin na tama yung speed na sinet natin dun sa lathe machine. Dahil kung mabilis man to or mabagal, uulit na naman tayo and maaari din kung mabilis ay makasira dun sa workpiece natin at may tendency na may tumalsik na mga bagay na makakapag-harm sa atin. So para naman sa pang-anim, keep the workplace clean of metal shavings. Use a brush or tool to remove them. Never use your hands. So habang nga tayo nagre-remove ng material dun sa workpiece natin, wag nating gagamitin yung kamay natin sa pag-remove ng mga excess na yon or mga chips dahil may tendency na matatalim yon and pwedeng makasugat sa atin. So ang tama is gumamit tayo ng brush para tanggalin yon. So sa pang-pito is always stop the lathe before adjusting and measuring. So bago tayo mag-adjust ng workpiece or lalo na rito sa trading, kapag i-measure natin siya kung tama ba, i-check mo natin kung fully stop na ba talaga yung lathe machine. Dahil kapag nagsukat tayo tapos gumagana pa or ma-under pa yung machine, ay maaari itong makapag-cause ng accident lalo na sa kamay natin. So sa pang-walo, never lean on the lathe. So wag tayong lilean sa lathe machine dahil maaari din tong mag-cause ng accident. Then panghuli is never lay tools directly on the lathe ways. So para nang turon sa keys, sa chock keys and wrenches kanina. Kapag may mga tools tayo na nakapatong, then nakahambalang to sa pag-under ng lathe machine, ay maaaring makasira ron sa lathe or makapag-cause ng harm sa atin. So ayun, ito yung mga kailangan nating tandaan palagi bago tayo mag-operate, lalo na sa trading operation. So, i-review ko lang ulit yung procedure for threading or threading setup na na-discuss nung nakaraang araw. Magbibigay ako rito ng mga palatandaan or words, phrases na maaring makatulong sa atin kung kakabisaduhin natin para mas matandaan yung mga steps na ito. So, sa pinakauna, kailangan nating tandaan is yung word na speed. So, dahil sa first step, set the speed to about 1/4 of the speed used for turning. So, important yung speed na word. So, sa pangalawa, kailangan nating tandaan is yung gearbox. Dahil sa pangalawa, set the quick change gearbox for the required pitch in threads. Kaya, importante rin dito yung gearbox. So, may speed na tayo, may gearbox. Sa pangatlo is compound rest. Dahil sa pangatlo, set the compound rest at 29 degrees to the right for right-hand threads. So, speed, gearbox, compound rest. Sa pang-apat naman is threading tool bit height. Dahil sa pang-apat, install a 60-degree threading tool bit and set the height to the lathe center point. So, speed, gearbox, compound rest, and threading tool bit height. So, yan. Ulitin nyo na lang kung may time kayo. Then, sa panglima is, in step number 5, set the tool bit and a right angle or a right angle to the work using a thread gauge. So, dito ay kailangan nating gumamit ng thread gauge. Kaya, speed, gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit, thread gauge. So, sa pang-anim is coat. Coat dahil in step number 6, using a layout solution, coat the area to be threaded. So, dito sa part na to is, i-coat na natin yung area to be threaded. Kaya, speed, compound rest, threading tool bit height, thread gauge, and coat. So, yan, tandaan nyo na lang. So, pang-pito, move the threading tool up to the part using both the compound and the cross feed. Set the micrometer to 0 on both dials. So, rito sa pang-pito is may phrase tayo na move the threading tool up to the part and micrometer to the 0 or to 0. So, tandaan natin, una ulit is speed, gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit height, thread gauge, coat, move the threading tool up to the part and micrometer to 0. So, sa pang-walo natin is move cross feed to the back tool of the work, move carriage to the end of the part, and reset the cross feed. Ang phrase natin dito is cross feed and carriage. So, may 8 na tayong words and phrases. So, speed, gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit height, thread gauge, coat, move the threading tool up to the part and micrometer to 0, and cross feed and carriage. So, sa pang-siyam natin is compound micrometer. Dahil in step number 9, using only the compound micrometer in 0.001 to 0.002 inch. So, dito, kailangan natin gumamit ng compound micrometer. So, may siyam na tayo. Mamaya na natin uulitin. Dumako tayo sa pang-10. So, in step number 10, turn on the lathe and engage the half nut. So, dito sa pang-10 natin is turn on and half nut yung kailangan nating tandaan. So, kung ulitin natin, speed, gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit height, coat, move the threading tool up to the part and micrometer to 0, cross feed and carriage, compound micrometer, and turn on and half nut. Then sa pang 11 natin, kailangan nating tandaan yung scratch, cut, and stop. Dahil sa step number 11, take a scratch cut on the part without cutting fluid. Disengage the half nut at the end of the cut and back out the tool using the cross feed. Return the carriage to the starting position. So, scratch, cut, and stop yun dito dahil gagawa lang tayo ng scratch cut sa workpiece natin. Then, kapag nasa dulo na is magi-stop na tayo, magdi-disengage tayo, and babalik tayo sa starting position. So, may 11 na tayo. Sa pang 12 natin is screw pitch gauge. So, screw pitch gauge yung kailangan tandaan dito dahil in step number 12, using a screw pitch gauge or a rule, check the thread pitch. So, dito, i-check natin yung thread pitch using the screw pitch gauge. Kaya, ayun yung words natin para dito. Then, sa 13 is feed the compound. So, feed the compound in 0.005 to 0.020 inch for the first pass using cutting oil. As you get near the final size, reduce the depth of cut to 0.001 to 0.002 inch. So, dito sa pang 13 natin na word is feed the compound. Dahil dito ay mag-feed na nga tayo para i-cut and makakuha tayo ng mga result na kailangan natin. So, ulitin natin sa pinakauna. Speed, gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit height, threading gauge, coat, move the threading tool part and micrometer to 0, cross feed and carriage, compound micrometer, turn on and half nut, scratch, cut and stop, screw pitch gauge, and feed the compound. So, sana nakakasunod. And sa pang 14 natin, ang kailangan natin tandaan is continue until 0.010 inch. Dahil in step number 14, continue this process until the tool is within 0.010 inch of the finished depth. So, dito is tandaan natin yung 0.010 inch dahil dito tayo magko-continue hanggang sa makuha natin to. So, for the second to the last is tandaan natin screw thread micrometer, thread gauge, or using the 3-wire system. So, dito, sa step number 15, check the size using a screw thread micrometer, thread gauge, or using the wire system. So, dito, kailangan nating gumamit or pwede nating gamitin tatlong uri ng pag-measure ng thread. Una-una is yung thread gauge. Yung thread gauge is yung tinatawag na the easiest method to determine when the thread is cut deep enough. So, sa pangalawa yung thread micrometer na tinatawag na easiest way to accurately measure thread pitch diameter. So, ito naman, kung dito sa thread gauge is determine when the thread is cut deep enough, dito naman sa thread micrometer is accurately measure thread pitch diameter. Kaso lang, dito sa thread micrometer, yung thread mics na ginagamit is expensive or fairly expensive. So, dito naman sa panghuli natin na is yung 3-wire method. Dito is sinasabi na ito yung very accurate and the cheapest method of measuring a variety of thread pitch diameters. So, ito raw yung mura and very accurate, hindi naman sa pinaka-accurate, very accurate na pagme-measure sa thread pitch diameter. Ang mahirapan dito is kailangan yung dexterity or yung skills ng machinist, dahil kailangan mag-measure without dropping the precision thread wires or yung paggamit natin ng wire rods. So, panghuli is yung chamfer. So, sa step number 16, kaya chamfer yung word natin is chamfer the end of the thread to protect it from damage. So, ayun yung last step natin para natin na hindi ma-damage yung workpiece natin is kailangan natin i-chamfer yung end. So, we have a 16 words and phrases na pwede nating tandaan na sana makakatulong. So, ulitin natin bago tayo matapos. Unang-una is speed, then gearbox, compound rest, threading tool bit height, threading gauge, coat, move the threading tool up to the part and micrometer to 0, crossfeed and carriage, compound micrometer, turn on and half nut, scratch cut and stop, screw pitch gauge, feed the compound, continue until 0.10 inch, screw thread micrometer, thread gauge or using the 3-wire system, and chamfer. So, these are the steps in threading operation. So, we will now
Ayan, good afternoon po sa lahat. So, as continuation ng reporting nung sinundan namin na group, kila Boko, we will proceed na po sa thread-related computations. Before that, I will provide some review or recall muna dun sa ilang terms po when it comes to threading. Ayan, first classification of thread, we have the US standard thread wherein in general, most of the measurement na ginagamit is written using English system which is yung inches nga. So, first term, we have the diameter or the major diameter. By definition, it is the outside measurement of thread width, meaning from crest of the top up to the crest of the bottom. Pag minor diameter naman, ito yung measurement from the lowest portion of the thread, which is yung root ng top part, up to the root naman ng bottom part ng thread. Ayan. Then also, not the size of the wrench head. I think yung source pala neto is nag-focus na sa mismong bolt, kaya may wrench head na tayo na na-encounter. Pero overall naman, we can use this pa rin para maintindihan natin yung ilang terms when it comes to threading. And second one, we have the thread pitch, which is also known as the TPI or threads per inch. So by the word itself, maintindihan naman natin na ito yung number of threads in 1 inch of measurement. So bibilangin lang natin siya. For this example, sa baba, we have 20 threads in 1 inch. So we can say that the thread has 20 TPI or threads per inch. Last, we have the length, how long the threaded area is, which does not count the head. Yan. Then proceed tayo sa example number 1. Problem number 1, calculate the pitch, depth, minor diameter, and width of plot for a 3/4 major diameter by 10 TPI Unified National Coarse Thread. So, yung D dito stands for single depth of thread or simply the perpendicular measure between the crest and the root of the thread. Then, we have P naman for the pitch. By getting the pitch, first we have to convert it from fractional to decimal form. We will use the formula 1 over thread per inch. So in this example, we have 10 threads per inch. So by plugging in values, the answer will be 0.100 of an inch. Then second one, we have the depth of thread. The value of 0.61343, as you can see, is the standard depth of thread considering the 70.7 depth from the 100% full thread depth. The value of 100% depth of thread na to is equal to cosine 30. I think na nag-result siya sa 0.86 something. So, multiplying it to 70.7% gives us this depth of thread na 0.61343, in which usually used for the standard thread. Then, mamaya, pag metric thread naman, papansin natin na medyo or may iba yung gagamitin natin as the value of depth of thread. So, magkaiba siya. So, pag US standard thread, we have to use the 0.61343. Then, by multiplying to the pitch value, 0.61343 times the pitch, which is 0.100, equals 0.061 inch. And this is the depth of thread for this example. Then also, we have the missing value of minor diameter. The formula to be used will be major diameter minus depth of thread plus depth of thread. And also, we can also use the other convention, which is major diameter minus depth of thread multiplied by 2. The depth of thread is multiplied by 2 since we all know na we have depth of thread on the upper portion of the thread as well as to its bottom. So, dalawa siya. Then, by plugging in the data, 0.75 minus the quantity of 0.61 plus 0.61 is equal to 0.628 of an inch. Then lastly, we have the width of the flat in which it should be 1/8 of the pitch. Using the formula P over 8, we have 1 over 8 times 1 over 10, which is the pitch, equal to 0.0125 of an inch. Ayan. So, proceed naman tayo sa metric thread. First, we have diameter, which also defined as the distance between outside of threads, which is measured in millimeters. So, kaibahan niya sa standard, millimeters yung sukat na ginagamit, hindi inches. Then, thread pitch. Thread pitch is the distance between threads crest to crest, which is also measured in millimeters. So, yung kaibahan niya naman sa UN standard thread is that yung sinusukat dito is the distance between the two crests na kasama. Yung measurement nila. Unlike dun sa thread pitch ng standard thread, we have to count the number of threads na included dun sa 1 inch na measurement. So, measured in millimeters. Ayan. Then third one, we have the length, how long the threaded area is, which does not count also the head. So, hindi kasama yung wrench head. So, proceed tayo sa example number 2. What is the depth, minor diameter, crest, and root for an M6.3 times 1 thread or metric thread 6.3 by 1 thread? So, the P is equal to the pitch or is equivalent to pitch, which is 1 millimeter. Then we have the depth of thread, which is the 0.54127 na ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na other equivalent ng depth of thread pag metric thread naman yung sinosolve natin. So, pag UN thread or UN standard thread, US standard thread, we have to use the 0.61343. Then, pag metric depth naman ang pinag-uusapan, 0.54127. So, multiplying by 1 will give us the 0.54 millimeter. Naka-round up na siya. Then, also, minor diameter, we have major diameter minus the quantity of depth of thread plus depth of thread. By plugging in values, 6.3 minus the quantity of 0.54 plus 0.54, which is equal to 5.22 millimeters. Then the width of root naman, we have width of root is equal to root is equal to 1/4 of the pitch, in which it is equivalent to 0.25 in decimal times pitch. So 0.25 times 1 millimeter of pitch, we have 0.25 millimeters. Ito yung lawak or yung width ng root in lower portion ng thread. Then lastly we have the width of crest, which is equal naman to 1/8, I think 1/8 of the pitch, in which it is equivalent to 0.125 times 1. Then it will give us the answer of 0.125 millimeters.
Hi guys, so after discussing the computation, the thread related computation and the threading setup, today I will be discussing, me and Rolly will be discussing multiple threading. So before we proceed to the main topic, which is the difference between the multiple threads, the single threads, the double threads, and the triple threads. First, I will be discussing, guys, the terminologies. Ito yung mga term and na ma-encounter natin throughout the discussion. So, first is the external or male thread. So, it is a thread on the outside of a cylinder or cone. So, based on the definition of this, basically, ito yung nasa labas yung thread. Ang example nito, guys, is yung bolts. Yeah, next is the internal or female thread. It is a thread on the inside of a hollow cylinder or bore. So ito naman yung kapartner ni bolts na si nuts. So si nuts, siya yung parang ring na merong may thread sa loob, just like sa picture, sa example. Next is the pitch, or ito yung P na nakikita natin sa example. So it is the distance from a given point of one thread to a similar point on a thread next to it, measured parallel to the axis of a cylinder. So the pitch in inches is equal to 1 divided by the number of threads per pitch. So ito naman si pitch, ito yung distance nung dalawang crest. So, ito yung nakikita nyo, guys, na parang na-inverted na B. Ito yung distance ng tuktok na yun sa susunod na crest. So, yun. So, next, guys, is the lead or lead. It is a distance of screw thread advances actually in one complete revolution. So, on a single thread screw, the lead is equal to 1 pitch. On a double thread screw, the lead is equal to twice the pitch. And on a triple thread screw, the lead is equal to 3 times the pitch. So ito naman, guys, si lead, ito yung sa bilang dung thread per revolution. So may tatlo kasing klase yan. So katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, may single threading na wherein ang lead niya is equal to 1 pitch. Sa double threading, ang lead niya is equal to 2 twice the pitch or dalawang pitch. So sa triple threading is equal siya sa 3 or tatlong pitch ang pasok sa isang revolution niya. So next, guys, is the crest, or mas kilala siya bilang flat so other terminologies. So it is the top or the outer surface of the thread joining two sides. So ito yung nakikita natin, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na parang pabundok. Ito yung parang pa-inverted V dito sa picture na where inasa tuktok niya, ayun yung crest. Next, guys, is the root. So the root is the bottom or inner surface joining the sides of two adjacent threads. So guys, ito yung nasa pinaka lower na part nung mismong pinaka lower na part ng thread. So ito yung lower na part ng dalawang crest na magkatabi. Ito yung pa letter V, yung pinakababa. Next, guys, is the side. So the side of a thread is the surface which connects the crest and the roots. So based naman doon sa picture, yung side naman is yung gilid nung crest tsaka ni roots. So 'di ba may parang nakaslant, siya yung side guys. Siya yung side na part nung thread. Next guys is the thread angle. It is the angle between the sides of an adjacent threads measured in an actual plane. For most B threads, the angle is fixed at 60 degrees, which is constant. And also guys, there's another angle which is the 55 degrees, which was used in British standard, which is known as the British standard Whitworth threads. So ito naman guys, ito yung measurement ng angle nung pa-B nung mismong thread. Next is the depth. So the depth of the thread is the distance between the crest and the root of thread, and it is measured perpendicular to the axis. So ito namang depth guys, ito yung distance nung crest, which is the top bottom of the thread, to the lower part of the thread, which is the root. So yon, it is the distance of the crest to the root. Guys naman is the major diameter or the D. So the major diameter is the largest diameter of a screw thread. So it is the distance guys nung crest, yung upper crest, which is the top bottom, to the lower crest, or basically the size nung mismong cylinder. Next guys is the minor diameter or the K. So the minor diameter is the smallest diameter of a screw thread. So si minor diameter naman guys, it is the size from the root to the other crest. So yun guys, ito yung pinakamaliit na size ng diameter dun sa mismong thread. So last guys is the pitch diameter. So the pitch diameter is the diameter of an imaginary cylinder formed with the width of the groove is equal to 1/2 of the pitch. So this is the critical dimension of threading, as the feet of the thread is determined by the pitch diameter. So based on the picture guys, ito yung size mula sa kalahati nung flank or yung side hanggang dun sa kalahati or ng other flank or side, so dun sa baba. So basically ang importance nito guys is nakakatulong ito para malaman kung yung external thread ba natin is magiging compatible pa siya dun sa internal natin, which is the female thread. So after discussing the terminologies, we will now proceed to the multiple threads. So there are 3 types of multiple threads. I guess meron pang iba, meron kasi ako nakikita na isa pa na dadagdag. So the first is single thread or single start. So pares lang yon. Next is the double thread or the double start. Third is the triple thread or the triple start. So sa ibang mga books or sa ibang mga references, meron pang isa which is yung apat. So apat na thread kada ano. So ano ba pinagkaiba nito guys? So first is nade-determine kung single thread or double thread or triple thread siya guys sa number ng revolution niya. So, di ba katulad ng sinabi ko kanina sa LED? So, ang single thread screw, ang revolution niya is equal to 1 pitch. Ibig sabihin, yung revolution niya from one crest to another crest. So, isang revolution niya ganun. So, medyo maliit, di ba? So, next naman guys is the double thread screw. So, ang revolution naman nito is nag-accumulate ng 2 pitch. So, ibig sabihin, yung pag-ikot niya, so, nag-accumulate siya ng 2 pitch bago siya magkaroon ng isang revolution. So last naman guys is the triple thread screw or the triple start. So dito naman guys, ang isang revolution nito nag-accumulate siya ng tatlong pitch or tatlong crest. So yun, sa isang ikot nito, 3 press yung nadadaanan, 3 pitch. Ayun guys. So yun. So ano ba yung mga pinagkaiba nito? Minsan napapatanong ako alin ba dito yung mas mahirap? Kasi 'di ba minsan may mga screw na ah, mahirap iikot or minsan may mga screw na madaling iikot. So yun guys. So based dun sa mga napanood ko sa internet and based dun sa nabasa ko, so the more daw na mas maigsi mas maliit yung thread niya, like sa single thread, the more na mas kailangan mong mag-exert ng force or na energy para iikot siya. Kasi nga malit nga lang yung ano niya, yung thread niya.
The last but definitely not the least is yung ano natin guys, triple thread or the triple start thread. Ang definition niya is one of 3 equal parallel threads on the same screw with each thread being 120 degrees ahead of the next succeeding. Well, compare it natin siya sa double thread that has 2 parallel threads of equal dimensions on the same screw, one of which is 180 degrees ahead of the other. Now, I'm going to discuss about the difference between single thread, double thread, and triple thread. But before that, yung multi-star thread natin guys is consist of 2 or more intertwined threads running parallel to one another. So, intertwining threads guys, it allows the lead distance of a thread to increase na hindi nagbabago yung ano natin pitch. So, yung double star thread will have a lead distance double that of a single star thread na nasa same pitch. Yung triple star thread naman will have a lead distance 3 times longer dun sa single star thread of the same pitch and so on. So, by maintaining a constant pitch, the depth of the thread, itong depth of the thread guys, ito yung measured from crest to root. By maintaining a constant pitch, the depth of thread will remain constant. So, dahil dito, this allows a multi-star thread to maintain a shallow thread depth relative to their longer lead distance. So, ngayon, bibigyan ko kayo ng pinaka-common na example ng multi-threading. At ito yung cup na nasa plastic water bottle. So, the cup will screw on in one quick turn. So, dahil meron tayong ginamit na multi-star thread, there are multiple threads guys na nagamit doon that are fully engaged to securely hold the cup in place. So that's it for the multi-threading. So to fully understand our discussion today, we were going to show you 2 different videos that are related to our topic today.